contribution. So now I will go to Dr. Manal Samad, which is former minister in Lebanon. I've already introduced to get the other perspective from the East Mediterranean and the Middle East on the matter of cultural capital and empowerment. My first question to you, Dr. Manal, is what do you believe are the key areas or disciplines of collaboration between Mediterranean countries that can contribute to higher levels of cultural capital sharing while maintaining our separate and different entity in that part of the world?
Thank you, Patricia, for the kind invitation to this interesting panel, and definitely it's very insightful question. I try to stay within the 5 minute time frame allocated for this question. As you know, it's widely acknowledged by that the Mediterranean is more than just a geographical region. It's a living mosaic of history, culture, and innovation. Italy, in particular, where the forum is hosted now, has always been a beacon of cultural preservation and innovation. As someone who has championed reforms and cultural initiatives in Lebanon, I see immense potential for Mediterranean collaboration in three critical areas that leverage our shared heritage while celebrating local diversity. So first, I can say media and digital platforms. During my time as Minister of Information in Lebanon, I spearheaded the digitization of our national audiovisual archives, preserving cultural treasures for future generations. So this project underscores how technology can bridge cultural divides. I had the privilege here of collaborating with the Institut National de l'Audiovisuel, INA, in France, to digitize Lebanon's national audiovisual archives. And really, this project, it wasn't about preserving the past only, it was about creating an accessible bridge between Lebanon's cultural memory and the future generations. I think a similar model could be expanded across the Mediterranean with countries sharing expertise and resources. Let's take the example of France. France's advanced techniques in archival preservations, Italy's leadership in heritage restoration, and Lebanon, even with our rich storytelling traditions, could come together to create a regional digital platform. So I think supported by international organizations like UNESCO, like the UAE, this platform could showcase Mediterranean music, films, and oral histories by highlighting our shared narratives while celebrating local diversity. So this is the first area. If you go to the second area or the key area of collaboration, I can say the sustainable tourism as a cultural bridge. Tourism, in the Mediterranean is more also than just an industry. It is a way of experiencing and celebrating cultures. So when I promote Lebanon's historical sites, I saw how they could drive economic growth while fostering pride in local heritage. Let's, for example, imagine a Mediterranean cultural route that connects the Venetian ports of Lebanon, such as Byblos or Sidon, with the Roman ruins of Italy and the medieval architecture of southern France. This, I think, could, such kind of initiative supported by the World Bank, by the Union for the Mediterranean, could create a sustainable tourism model that benefits local communities while preserving their cultural identity. We can, for example, I was saying, giving an example about joint marketing campaigns by Mediterranean countries. This could attract, for example, global tourists, positioning the region as a unified. I believe it is in education and cross-cultural knowledge exchange. We know very well that education is a cornerstone of collaboration. and also as during my tenure as minister and through my work with the UNDP on capacity building programs in Lebanon, I've seen how empowering individuals can lead to systemic change. Mediterranean countries can partner to create this cross-border educational programs focused on governance, innovation, and cultural preservation. Also, I can here give the example of France. France has a history of supporting educational exchanges in Lebanon and expanding programs like Erasmus Plus to focus specifically on Mediterranean countries could allow students and professionals to exchange knowledge on topics like climate adaptation, in heritage, or in how to preserve this heritage that we have, or the use, for example, of AI, the hot topic that we have. We can use it also in cultural digitization. Such initiatives would build a network of cultural ambassadors who definitely understand and respect both local and regional entities. So finally, to look ahead, I can say that collaboration in these areas, media, sustainability, tourism, and education, supported by international organizations like UNESCO, the UAE, and the World Bank, will strengthen cultural capacity and will definitely build a resilient Mediterranean community. Thank you.
So now
Sorry.
I want to go to your specific experience. Dr. Manal, you're one of the women leaders in Lebanon, and we do not have many. And you're a woman in a male-dominated space, whether in finance, in taxes, in the IMF, in the public policy in Lebanon, where we are really underrepresented. And we're proud of you. By the way, you were such a good example about a woman for Lebanon. So, from this experience that you have gone through, whether in public policy or in male-dominated international organizations or male-dominated industries like finance, can you tell us about the potential of women of Lebanon and the challenges they are facing when they are in your shoes in this kind of positions?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for raising such an important topic. Definitely in our patriarchic society, women in the Mediterranean are not only participants in history. I believe they are change makers. They are trailblazers of it. From my experience as a Minister of Information during one of Lebanon's most challenging periods, I've seen firsthand the transformative potential of women in leadership and in policymaking. So let me first start with the potential. When I took office, Lebanon was navigating multiple crises that we all know about. It's the COVID-19 pandemic, the Beirut explosion, severe economic challenges. So in face of these obstacles, I led reforms that prioritized awareness campaigns, transparency, such as enforcing the access to information law, securing international grants to digitize Lebanon's cultural archives. These efforts weren't also only about governance. They are about proving that women can lead reforms effectively and with impact and during crisis and under pressure. So women in Lebanon and across definitely the East Mediterranean are deeply resourceful, bringing innovative solutions to complex challenges. But the challenges here are real. Women in conflict-prone geographies, I believe they face three significant barriers. We can say the first main barrier is structural and societal constraints. The first challenge is structural and societal constraints because, as I mentioned, patriarchy remains deeply ingrained in many parts of the region. Even as a minister, I overcame challenges by demonstrating the value and impact of my reforms, proving that effective leadership transcends any preconceived notions about gender or the like. So these societal norms limit women's access to decision-making roles and definitely create unnecessary hurdles. The second constraint, in my belief, is a conflict and instability, because in regions like Lebanon, political and economic crises, like we already witnessed, often divert resources away from gender equality initiatives. We have more priorities, or let's say other first level agendas or priorities. So here, women are disproportionately affected by these challenges, which definitely hinder their ability to rise to leadership positions. And the third constraint or challenge, I believe, is the lack of opportunities for capacity building and mentorship. Women often lack access to the networks and skills needed to navigate leadership roles. And this is not due to a lack of capacity, definitely, but rather it's a systemic barrier that prevent their advancement. So the question is, how do we overcome these challenges? Definitely, we can overcome these challenges by international collaboration, the main topic of this forum. International collaboration has already proven its value, and let's take the example of UN Women initiatives, or the EU support for gender quotas, or World Bank funding for women-focused groups or programs. This have created a pathways for women to contribute meaningfully, and definitely we need to go further with such initiatives. First, the mentorship and leadership programs. We need a Mediterranean Women's Leadership Academy, for example, supported by organizations like the Bretton Woods organizations or the Union for the Mediterranean. These platforms could provide women with skills, with knowledge, with networks that they all need to thrive in public policy making and governance. And second, we have this gender-sensitive policies by advocating for policies such as gender quotas, especially for a temporary time, and inclusive governance frameworks is definitely essential at the start or as a beginning. And these policies definitely can ensure that women have a seat at the table, especially in conflict-prone geographies where their voices are often excluded. And third, and finally, we need this economic empowerment, as my colleague mentioned. Targeted initiatives that support women-led businesses and entrepreneurship can provide the economic foundation for greater participation in public life. When women succeed economically, I believe they are more likely to influence policy making and more likely to have an impact on governance. So I can say in a word that women in the Mediterranean region are a force of resilience and transformation. My own journey as a minister proves that with determination and the right support, women can overcome even the most entrenched barriers. And it's time for us to invest in their potential, not for the benefit only, but for the prosperity and for the stability of the entire Mediterranean region. Thank you.
Honestly, I could have ended this panel on a better note than you have just did. So I will leave it at that. I will take your conclusion as mine because I completely second you and agree to every word you just said. I want to thank you, and I want to thank the rest of my guests, and also Sprayuna for this speech she sent us. And I really hope in the future to see more leaders like you ladies on board everywhere until we reach true equity and until the world reckon with us as a force to drive the world forward. Thank you so much, and we move to panel 5. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Patricia.